we're focusing on today. The presenter for this webinar is Leonie Katz, who has a Bachelor of Education, a diploma in counselling, and is a professional certified coach. Meaningful connection and conversation have been Leonie's passion and purpose in both her professional and personal life. Their interest in creating meaningful connection came to life over time, and Ray presented an idea for a board game using image cards. The board game compatibility was picked up by Mattel and distributed worldwide. Leonie recognised the level of conversation and connection when people used image cards. She and her partner have gone on to develop the compatibility communication system, which is used in corporations, schools, counselling, aged care and families. So I would like to welcome Leonie to our stage here and have her present for us. Welcome, Leonie.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for having me, and welcome everybody. Really appreciate you taking time today to join us, because I know that we're, even in lockdown times, our time can be very, very stretched. So I'm hoping today you'll find it a valuable use of our hour together. So thank you for being here. And I'd also like to acknowledge that I'm on the lands of the Awabakal people. So up here in Lake Macquarie on the Wadigan Mountains. So I'd like to acknowledge our traditional owners of the land. So the ideal family, gosh, we're going to have a conversation. And again, I think it's really interesting in these lockdown times and talking to people in all different areas, how we're just feeling a whole lot of tension that we haven't before. So while we created this process many years ago, it's something that is really an ongoing conversation, and something that has been popping up more and more for people saying, how do we just refigure ourselves? How do we make this work as families now that we're, some of us spending 24/7 together, locked up in a house? So I'm hoping that the process today you find very useful. So just to start us off, I thought I would just share a bit of an intro about me and why should you be listening to me today. So I'm just going to share some slides here and hopefully you can see that. So how did I get to be here? So as Jackie mentioned, thank you for the introduction, is about, look, over 25 years ago, I had an experience of where my partner was working with the Powerhouse Museum, and he had a focus group had been run about an exhibition, and the facilitator had used images. She just popped out a whole bunch of images on the table and asked people to just choose what images reflected how they would like the exhibition to feel. Well, he got so excited, and the question he asked himself was, would similar people choose similar images? So what he did was go out and buy a whole bunch of magazines and newspapers. And when I got home from work, he had cut up 2 identical packs of cards. And he said to me, I just want you to try this. And he posed the topic. He said, I want you to go through your pack and find 5 cards to show what love means for you. And I'll do the same. So we both did that. And when we turned over our cards and we shared, it was, lo and behold, we had a couple of matches. But for me, it was like, oh my goodness, it just absolutely clicked as something that, connection and meaningful conversation is something that I've always been passionate about. And I went, oh my goodness, I've got to do something with this. So ultimately we created the board game Compatibility, which was picked up by Mattel, went worldwide. It's not a Trivial Pursuit story. I haven't done that amazingly, but it did, it was out there. But what it did was, Craig and I were both from training and development backgrounds, and we said, there's more than a board game in this, we can do a lot more. So we started off with going into corporations and running icebreakers. So we just use the images to have openers, and basically we use the compatibility concept where everybody had the same pack of cards. They shared around the table, and you would have this incredible opener for conferences and things because people connected immediately, and they had confidence. So they were primed to engage in a way that they hadn't before. So we got really, really, really excited then and went, you know what, there's even more that we can do. It's not just an opener. So we then created processes for creating a vision and values within organizations. And again, saw that there were other opportunities. One of our clients was Relationships Australia. And I think, as sometimes happens in innovation, it's when something goes wrong that you find something right. And one of my contacts in Relationships Australia, I met with one day and I said, you know what, we got printed some boxes for our cards to go in, and we decided to change the color. We went red, and we got these red boxes, and they were hideous, to be honest. You know, once you get it and you just went, oh my goodness, that looks awful. I don't like it at all. But what it triggered for me was first aid. So I met with my Relationships Australia contact and I said, Kerry, oh my goodness, first aid for families. This is what I'm seeing. First aid for families. What do you think? And Kerry McFadden, who is now director at Relationships Australia, just, you know, love her, just said, oh my goodness, that is incredible. So we went on a journey together with her and her team to explore what does first aid for families look like. And we ended up creating what we called the US kit, because we decided it actually wasn't just first aid. What we wanted was not just to help families in desperate need, but we wanted to have something that any family could use. So the place that the cards played in that kit was two areas. We had, number one, we used it for tough conversations. So how to talk about the things that might be difficult to talk about just if you just ask the question or we're trying to have the conversation. So we used the cards and gave some prompts to do that. And then the other area was creating the family vision. So today what we're going to experience is a combination of really what we created for Relationships Australia, because that was a very sort of a pared down version of our vision, and also what we've done with corporations. And I'm really excited to say that we actually have some family members that have volunteered from our audience to play with us today. So we're going to see that in just a moment. So thank you very much to, we've got Rachel, Andy, Kwan and Min that are going to be my family for today. So very excited about that. So stay tuned. So I just also wanted to show you this. My sister, when I was sharing about the ideal family and I started talking about this, she said, you know what, I should pull out the compatibility box, because we actually haven't played that with our family in a long time. And her children are now both teenagers. So she's got a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl. And I probably shared that in advance, but there we go. So she rang me up and she said, you're not going to believe it, but they matched 3 out of 3 cards. It was quite incredible. And I went, oh my God, I've got to see that. Like, tell me the story. So she did. And I said, but she hadn't told me the topic. So I said to her, what exactly was the topic that they chose it for? She said, a stimulating experience. So you can see the cards on the table. So she does have the game there. So they both chose sex. They chose the couple in the spa and they chose party, and they had a match. So they just had this incredible bonding experience with a bit of joy. So I thought that was a bit of fun to share with you today. So image cards. Let's have a little look first of all at what we're going to look at today. So I'll have a quick chat with you, just a little bit of things that we've learned along the way. So over 25 years of playing cards, not necessarily proud, we have learned a bunch of stuff, and we've worked with a variety of experts to teach us some things that they know from their experience as well along the way. So we're going to talk about some image card keys. I will, of course, share the 5-step vision process that you can take home and use as well, or use with your clients, and then we'll have some time for question and answer. So just a quick thing about image cards. They've been around for a lot of years. When we first started, so back in 1993, I think the only image cards that we could source was actually the photo language, which were, some of you may be familiar with photo language, the black and white images, I think, they're actually quite emotive images. So they certainly have a place and been used extensively and created great results. So very exciting. Now, if you search online about image cards, you can see them everywhere. Like there are a huge variety of image cards being used, which is really exciting because they are incredibly valuable, as we found, in helping people have conversation. So I guess that said, I'm really curious just to touch base with everybody and hear from your perspective, and you can either write it in the chat or raise your hand, and happy to hear from a couple of people about who uses image cards. So let us know in the chat, who uses image cards? Do you use them or do you not? And how you might use them, why and when you use them. So happy for you to pop your hand up, and Jackie will help us unmute a couple of people so we can hear, or else pop in the chat.
I think we've got some questions in the chat. Kim Billington is saying next steps by Innovative Resources. I know they produce lots of wonderful, evocative conversation cards as well. Silmia's never used them, but do you want me to read out these chat ones, Leonie, for you?
Yeah, so fantastic, Jackie. So that would be great.
Fleur has said, I've used them with students in schools when I was a school counsellor and found them very effective. Madeline has said, for check-in and check-outs in groups, they're useful. Rachel is not currently using them, but keen to learn how and incorporate them into her practice. Marianne has said, as a communication exercise with couples. Judy King, signpost cards are great through Innovative Resources. So lots of different responses coming through there. In youth group settings, university studies has found counselling, use them in university studies during counselling, but not yet in practice. So quite a few people with a range of ways that they use them with different groups, different ages and different types of cards. And also a lot of people saying not use them yet, but really keen to learn how.
Fantastic. I am so excited for both. So I'm excited for the people that use them. So obviously you will know the power of images. And those that haven't, I am hoping that you walk away from today with the confidence to say, you know what, I could give it a go and use images in some way, because it is incredibly powerful. Just an example, I have Carolyn Randall is a colleague that I've been working with for a number of years, and she works with people, with students that are challenged in the learning environment, basically. So they get sent to her when they're being disengaged in a number of levels. We're having a free webinar with Carolyn Randall on Monday, actually, talking about how to engage disengaged students. And she sent me a quote this morning from a 16-year-old boy he's used in his sessions, so Zoom sessions, because everyone's obviously online these days. And she said that he said to her, you know what, I'm going to use my cards to, when I'm feeling like angry or mad, I'm going to use my cards to reframe my feelings so that I can feel more positive. They are not the exact words, but that's the essence of what he said. And I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my goodness, that is just so cool. So there is such great things that you can do with images. So let's just have a quick look. I just had a couple of quotes that I really love that really share with us why images work. So Michael Polanyi, who was a pioneer in terms of tacit knowledge. So, you know, it's tapping into that, what we don't know that we actually know. And he's got the quote there, we know more than we can tell. Another one, Jose Gazette, is metaphor is probably the most fertile power possessed by man. And this is it is really powerful when people don't know how to say what they want to say or how they're feeling. Using metaphor, such as images, is incredibly powerful. And we could talk about that for a long time. There's a lot of research on that. And then the other one, John Medina, who is incredible. He's written the book Brain Rules. If anyone has got that, he's just got 12 brain rules, incredibly easy to read and great tips. And he talks about, vision trumps all our senses. So that's why we're able to tap into people in a way that we may not if we're just using our words. But lots of good reasons to use and lots of research out there about why images work. So let's just talk about some image card keys. And so these are the kinds of images and also the way we provide the cards and the type of image that we use. The first one I want to pop up here is you've probably been to presentations where, people will pop an image up to amplify their message, which is really powerful. So if we saw an image like this in the background, the facilitator might be talking about teamwork, which seems to be an obvious one that goes with these cards. And now we've got all, so many posters around these days that will have a really powerful emotive image such as this, which will, might have then a quote about teamwork or motivation or something. So it just helps us to remember and to reinforce that message and to tap into our emotions, which we know as educators and people taking care of other people, that emotion is actually what we need to create change. So it's not just knowledge, but it's actually that emotion. So using anything we can to help people tap into that emotion is really important. So what we would call in terms of our image card use, we'd say this is an opportunity where it's our facilitator's image. So I've chosen the image and it's the facilitator's meaning. So I'm just using the image to reinforce my message. Another one might be something like this. So this is a facilitator's image, but I'm actually going to ask your meaning. So what I'd like you to do is, again, use the chat box if you would. And I'd like you to take a look at the image. And I'd like you just to use that as a springboard to describe for you your experience of the last 6 months. So use the image to kind of inspire you to go, oh, what does that prompt me to think or feel? And if you could pop your thoughts in the chat box, that would be great. So we've got the uncertainty there, peaceful. Uncertainty, we've got very fast chat, thank you. Quiet reflections. Spaciousness, I love that. Rocky, absolutely. Freedom. Definitely felt the need for freedom. I don't know if I felt it, but calm in capital letters, love it. Privileged, yes, thank you. Stagnant, yeah. Lockdown, oh, really nice. So I'm hoping everyone's taking a look at the, looking at the chat as well and seeing all these brilliant responses come through. And what's really important here is if you notice the diversity of answers. So we really all have a different perspective. And that's so important when, as you know, when we're working with people, it's not what I think about the image, and what it brings up for me, it's what you think. So for me to be able to understand you and your world, images are a really powerful way to help people tap into what they're thinking and feeling, and helping them feel safe to be able to share that with you. So thank you for playing. Okay, so that's our facilitator's image and facilitator's meaning. Then the last one is our facilitator's image, sorry, not facilitator's image, participant's image and participant's meaning. And this is where we've played basically for the last 25 years. So we have provided our participants with their own pack of cards. And again, you don't have to use our cards, you can use any cards that you like. And as I said at the beginning, you can cut up magazines and newspapers. And from 25 years ago, it's a lot easier these days. You don't have to buy, obviously, magazines and newspapers. You can just simply go online, Google images and choose your own deck of cards. So simple and easy and cheap and free to make. And after today's session as well, you'll all be provided with a link if you're interested to the deck of cards that we'll be using today in our session. So you can download those for free and That'll save you looking around the web if you'd prefer. So we've used the participants chooses the card themselves, and they then also choose the meaning. And we've found there's a lot of power in that too. The other thing that has come up that we've noticed, and the research really supports this, is that by everybody having the same deck of cards and choosing for themselves, when they have cards that come up that are the same, and often we find there's two things that can happen. People have exactly the same card and they might have put it for the same reason, or they have exactly the same card and it might be for a different reason. So as you noticed in our little chat before, I had the same image, but we all had a really different response. But even still, if we've chosen the same image, there's a connection that happens that wouldn't necessarily happen if we just had words alone. So suddenly I feel connected to you. And I love this quote from Clifford Nass. So he says, the more similar two people are, the more probably it is that they will like, trust, and respect each other. And that's really a part of our similarity effect, that it's called, that where we can't help it. We are wired to like people that are like us. We can't help it. And in this world where we're really trying to promote and create environments of inclusion, what we want to do is, as quickly as possible, find ways that we connect. So using something as simple as, we're using the same deck of cards, and in our deck that we use often, we have 53 images. So the chances are of you having the same image, if I ask you to choose 5, it's pretty high. So immediately I've created a bit of connection in the group. So I want you to just to be thinking, because I'd like you to think about this in your context, your work context. So whether it's with students, whether it's with families, so particularly also with families or couples, just think about that. We might all be coming from different scenarios. We might all be feeling a bit of tension, a bit of disconnection. But if we have something where suddenly we can go, oh my gosh, we're actually on the same page, it's incredibly useful and incredibly powerful. So the other one, just very quickly, is the method of providing cards. And if you're using a lot of the different tools, may just have one particular image where everybody responds, as we did with our facilitator image participant meaning. We've just used one image and everybody responds. The other way is we may put all the images out. And I know in the photo language world, that's what they would do, is often it was used where you lay out all the different images and participants are asked to go and choose which one resonates most with them. And then the third way of providing the cards is the way that we've most typically used it, is where everybody gets their own deck of cards. So there's benefits in all three. So again, just think about the context that you're working in and what works best for you. The final note I want to say before we dive in and ask our family to come and play is the type of image. And I want you to take a look at these two images here. So both of a fruit stand, but one we would say is typically a loaded image and the other one an unloaded image. And my work has really been in the unloaded image. All the images we use are typically not loaded. They're what we've labeled just common images. They're what people could literally take out of their photograph album. Although not these days. I think people get so fancy with their photographs. Some of them are heavily loaded and amazing and incredible. But basically we're going to it's not meant to have any meaning. Any card could mean anything to anybody. So the common image is something that we've used in our work to great result. So enough there, and we're going to dive into the 5-step process. But before I do that, I'm actually going to stop my share for a sec. And I just want to ask if anybody has any questions or thoughts or comments that may have prompted for you. Just really curious to know where you're at right now with what I've shared.
I just had a quick question, if that's okay. How do you?
Of course, that's okay.
Is there a way of doing this online? I see most of my clients online nowadays. Is there a digital version?
Yeah, Absolutely. Great question, Kelly. And I think that's where we've been just running as well, going, how do we convert this online? So a couple of comments from our perspective. So we have a number of tools that we use. So one of them we've created recently is, well, our Collaborator, which you can see in the background, which is a team building tool which uses the cards. And we launched that product just as COVID hit. So a face-to-face tool, yay, in a COVID world. So what we've been working on is, how do we now translate that with all teams working remotely? How do we do that? What we're finding is, actually, we've just recently sent out little care packages where everybody gets the actual real cards. And that's been incredible. So when people are on Zoom all day and working online, to then respond using something where they've got a tangible deck of cards is really useful, really useful. So it helps you to respond in a different way, and it helps you to have that different experience off screen. That's one approach. Second approach is absolutely go online. So if you just even Google images cards online, you can find a gazillion. We have our CCS Vision Pack app, which we're going to be using today with our family members. And we're also just in the process of creating a virtual facilitation environment, which will enable you as a facilitator, and whatever that means for you as counsellor or coach or whoever, be able to use that and provide that to your people for free, so they can download it and you can manage their whole experience online. But there are a load of ways you can use the images online. The other thing I would say, just on there, because we have a lot of clients that get very excited about that, and they end up using the images on the screen, and they might pop all the like 10 or 20 or 30 images on the screen and go, choose an image that appeals to you or something for whatever topic they're going to use. I just say on that point, absolutely don't do that. I think there is benefit in somebody actually going through the motion of one card at a time. When you show them all on screen at once, it's overwhelming. We tend to just go, that'll do, and then we make up a response that matches the card. Whereas I think when you're actually having to search one card at a time, it helps you to really tap into that tacit knowledge. You've got that little bit of reflection time, and you're able to then respond. And also what we get is, we get people to choose, like make a short selection, and then choose from that their final maybe 3, 4, 5 cards that they're going to then share. Does that help?
Could I?
Sorry, can
Hello.
I ask?
Yes, we have lots of people.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the common and unloaded images that you were talking about, just because I couldn't see the second one on the screen, and I just wanted to hear a little bit more about what you meant about people responding better to, like what you meant by common or uncommon. Or
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. Really good question. Is it Fleur?
Yes.
Yes, thank you for asking the question, Fleur. So what you'll notice, I think today we are bombarded with loaded images. Advertising usually uses loaded images. They want you to feel a particular emotion when you look at the image. You know, so you just got to picture any advertising piece and you'll go, okay, I get it. Yeah. So I think for us and our experience, we don't want that. I don't want you to tell me that you feel love or sense love, when actually what I want is, I want you to let me know what you think or feel. And we saw that experience when it was, you know, I used really an unloaded image, a common image, when I said, you know, just describe your experience of the last year. Whereas imagine you had a more advertising image that kind of prompted you to go, oh, it's been full of angst, you know, you had this like really stressed looking person. I've put assumptions on that. You get it? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Good question.
I'm sorry, just want to ask.
Yes.
Just want to ask about, is that the card image actually using the principle is like Centray, that we just externalized, you know, things that in our in our life, and then make it talk and conversation with it.
Yes, yes. I love that. Thank you so much for asking the question. Is that Shirley?
Yes.
Yes, yes, thank you. Really good point. And at the I went to the ACA conference, and it's in person, so it must have been at least 2019. And I went to a sand tray session, and I just felt that like, oh, I felt like I was home, because it's just exactly the same kind of thing. So it's a metaphor. These are our metaphor that we use. So whether it's, you know, you pick up toys, I think with working with a colleague in America, and she's saying, can we use the cards for younger kids? And I know in innovative resources, they've got, you know, ones that are for younger, but I also said tools like toys, like go play with the toys, go use those as the metaphors, as opposed to forcing them to use certainly the particular images that we have. So yeah, really good point. Thank you. If it's okay with you, I might start our vision session just so you get to see and experience what that's like, and then we can come back to questions after. Is that okay? Getting some nods. Brilliant. Thank you. So Benita, can I ask you to spotlight our family members, and we'll just introduce them and bring them on screen. Andy, hi. And welcome, and you might pop yourself off mute now, Andy.
Yeah, hi.
And we should have a couple more family members. Kwan, hi, how are you going? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
What a family, look at us.
Very diverse.
I love it, I love it. Is Min with us?
Oh,
Yes,
you
I'm
are.
here. Yeah.
Look at us, look at us. So what I wanted to do was just have a bit of a family experience. So first of all, the first question to ask, so I have actually given each of our family members the CCS Vision Pack. So, okay, Kwan, Min and Andy. So you should have so if you go open up your app, and can you please choose the Express pack? So it's the one in the middle.
Yep.
Have you
Do I
got that?
shuffle?
You can shuffle.
I can shuffle, right?
Beautiful. Yep. Okay, and then go into the pack.
Open it up.
Yep. Open it up. And so it should look like this. Oh, don't know if you can see that. Okay, I'm gonna
Like,
it'll say
Yeah.
Express on the front. Fantastic. So our 5-step vision process. So can everyone see? Hopefully you can see can you see my pack, the front of my pack there?
Yep.
Great. Okay. So in our 5-step vision process, the first step is that we would use an opener, and let's pretend, just for the sake of time, well, we actually have done an opener. So we used our initial image of the rocks, where I asked for your response. So in a family setting, just to get it's really, the opener is just to get everybody into the room and to, you know, kind of go, okay, let's all settle. It's also a way to teach people, if you like, how to use the cards. So how I frame the use of the cards, and this is really important, is that I would say something like, we've all got the same deck of cards, and I want you to know that any card can mean anything to anyone, and there is no right or wrong, and there's absolutely no set meaning. So they're really just a way for us to have the conversation. So what that framing does is it just helps people know that there's literally no judgment. There is no right or wrong. So that's really important to say. So we would start with an opener. So we might do something like, just pop your app on shuffle, and we're going to come to then whatever your first card is, and you can slide across. And I'd just like you to use that as a springboard to share something about your experience today. And I'm just going to stop there, because I'm actually not going to get you to do that, just for the sake of time, because I want to now dive into our vision, our 2 topics. So the first topic that I'd like you to do is what I call the lead up topic. So this is step number 2. So first of all, we've got the opener. Step number 2 is a lead up topic. So family members, Kwan and Min and Andy, we're all ready. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go through your pack and I'd like you to find, let's just go 3 for time's sake. I'd like you to find 3 cards that for you describe our family. So just a little in brackets here. If you can actually describe your family, that would be great, because I think it'll be more powerful if you feel comfortable and safe to describe your family. That would be awesome. So what you do is go through your pack by clicking through the arrows or swiping across, and you double tap to put it in your shortlist. And then you can see down the bottom, once you've double tapped on a few, you can see down the bottom that you have, I've got 2 cards, for example, in my shortlist. Now I've got 4 cards. Then I go to my shortlist. I can then see my shortlist, and now I can see all of them there. And I go, awesome, they're my 4 choices. So I hope that you're okay with that. And put a thumbs up when you've chosen your image.
Sorry, how many?
For everybody. So let's go 3. Let's go 3. Give me a thumbs up when you've found your 3 cards. And so for everybody else, while they're choosing, so the purpose of this is really in our, I guess we'd call this the current reality. This is how people are seeing our family. So, and I would also, if we're in a family setting, I'd actually probably use 5 cards. Thank you, Kwan, because we find that you'll just get a richer response. Often the first 1 or 2 cards might be something you go, okay, I would expect that, but you get 5, you get a fuller response. And going back to our similarity effect, you've probably got more chance that we're also all going to at least have 1 or 2 cards that are similar, which creates a really nice bonding effect as well. The other aside I would say is that ultimately it's about the conversation that we're having. So the images are just simply a tool to help us have a conversation that we might not have been able to have, or we would have had in a really different way. How are we going, family? Min and Andy, how are you both going?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I'm going to stop my share so you can, if we could share now to describe our family. So I'd like one of you to go first and just share. Andy's going to go first. Share with us what your cards are and what they meant for you.
Okay, so the first one I chose was this man doing some acrobatics on his head, and I would equate that with being playful. So in the family, everybody's open to be playful with one another. Whoops. Got that one there. So I would say, everybody is coming with their own opinions, their own emotions, their own, I guess, moments of struggle. And, sometimes the lid's on, sometimes the lid's off, but it's all very colourful and at times creative. And this one. So I would put there openness. So there's moments of feeling open, and maybe other moments where there's the uncertainty as a family unit as to, what's happening next.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andy. And we just got a little important safety tip from Lauren, I think. Thank you for that technical advice, saying if we turn our screen brightness down, we might be able to see it a little bit better. So thank you for that. Thanks, Andy.
Okay, thank you.
Kwan, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I picked this one here. So this the image feels like always looking outwards in the distance, trying to break away and go into openness and wilderness. So that's the experience growing up. Always striving upwards, moving up somewhere, anywhere, just, yeah, always need to strive for something. And then the third one, go, yeah, always crossroad, choosing different path, and the path is not very clear, just a bit all over the place and with confusing instructions. And
Right, thank you very much. And Min.
Yeah, I chose this one. Yeah, sisters are hugging each other. So families is supposed to support each other and understand and give the best care if they can. And especially in this pandemic, we really want physical touch. And second one, these arrows, different directions. So we are from maybe the same origin, but we go to different directions. You know, we all have our uniques and our dreams. So we are apart from each other. And this one is the foods, you know, the foods, there remains so many things for the family, enjoying the food together. It's a beautiful memory for, you know, for all members, I think. Yeah, this three food.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So what we would then, and I'm just actually very, very conscious of the time, I'm just going to ask, we only have not very long. So what I might do is, Jackie, what's your sense now? I feel like we don't have time to do the vision together. So maybe I just talk people through. What do you think? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe you could do perhaps one more illustration. Perhaps people could pick one card, but I'll leave it to you. Yep, just got a few more minutes.
Okay. So we've used our opener. That was our lead up topic, which is a description of our current reality. And then the next step would be our vision topic. So our vision topic is, I want you to imagine, so I'll just get you to choose one card. This will be very interesting. And I will note, Min, you're using a different pack to Kwan and Andy. So if you want to go back to the beginning and go to the Express pack, which is the pack in the middle. So if you go back to the beginning of your beginning screen, if you can, if not, don't panic. So now our third step is our vision topic. And our vision topic is, I'm going to ask you, family members, I want you to imagine that we wave a magic wand and we are the ideal family. So I'd like you to go through your pack and I'd like you to choose. Now, in a family, you'd say 5 cards, but in our family and time limited, we're going to say 1. I want you to go through your pack and just find one card that would describe for you or sum up for you what our ideal family, what that might look like for you. So one card to describe the ideal family. So while they're doing that, step 4 from this would be to tighten the vision. So we'll go through and people would share their cards. We then go, what's similar, what's different? And let's now narrow it down to a few key elements that for us is important for our ideal family. And step number 5 is taking action. So it's now, what can we do about that? Which one of these elements do we want to focus on? And what are we going to do? What are we all going to commit to doing that? So that's your 5 steps. These are all actually included on the PowerPoint. So you will have that documented that I think Jackie will share. And I'm just going to, let's see if we have any matches here. So our ideal family, what do we look like? Andy, for you, what have you chosen?
I know, I try to turn it down. Can you see?
A blank screen.
No.
A blank, no, just a, oh yeah, the shiny dot. So you got the shiny dot on yellow. Awesome.
Yeah, sorry,
Thank
I
you.
tried
Got
to turn
that.
the brightness down. Can you
That's
see?
okay. Just hold it back a little bit. Hold it back a little bit. There we are. We can see it. Okay. So share with us what that means for you.
I'd say feeling whole, and connected.
Love it. Thank you. Kwan, what about you? What did you choose?
Either like house in a cottage, something just, yeah, very comfy and peaceful.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Min?
Actually, same as Kwan. I chose the same one. Same photo.
Oh, there we have it.
A match.
And what did that mean for you, Min? What did that mean
Yes.
for you?
Similar to Kwan's, peaceful, warmth, supportive, but not too dramatic, but it's stable. I like that.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And what a beautiful way to end that is that's exactly what you'll see. So I'm going to thank our family so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for playing. Thank you for offering yourselves. I hope you can use this. And thank you everybody for being here. I hope by seeing that really short demonstration that you're able to feel a little more confident in going, you know what, I could give it a go. And I'm going to hand back to Jackie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leonie, and thank you for our beautiful family members who also participated and made this lovely demonstration for us of this method. I'd like now to give you an opportunity in breakout rooms, and I'm going to put you in rooms in just a moment, 2 or 3 people to every group, to have a quick conversation with somebody about how you might be able to use this 5-step process for helping clients, colleagues, students that you work with to help articulate what could be an ideal family, however that family is configured. So we're just going to be in those groups for about 5 minutes. And then when we come back, we're going to have an opportunity to hear from a couple of people. And then we're going to do a quiz at the very end. So just before we finish today, if you would like a PD certificate, stay till the end and answer 3 quick questions, very easy ones, to demonstrate that you've taken on board what Leonie shared with us today. And then we're going to finish up in around 10 minutes. So we're going to go into breakout rooms just now. So if you can have your cameras on for that, that would be great. And we look forward to seeing you in about 5 minutes. Thanks. Welcome back. Anyone want to share what they talked about in their breakout room just now? Stephanie, is there anything you'd like to share about what you discussed with your partner? Stephanie Cassidy?
I'll be honest, we actually used the time to kind of have a sense of camaraderie between Melbourne and Sydney at this point in time, which was actually really lovely. And we were reflecting on these sessions as a really nice way to connect. And one of the positives of lockdowns at this point in time, personally though, the cards and using those in my practice in some upcoming sessions with large groups of young people, I think are going to be really helpful, like images and things. So I'm really, yeah, it's been very thought-provoking for me. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Stephanie. And you'll get the link to be able to access those today. So wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else want to share what you discussed in your breakout room just now?
Hi, Jackie. Andrew and I were talking about, Andrew brought up how great it was that it was solution focused. And I had an example of a family we're working with that, there is a lot of conflict between the children about their differences, but these cards were really kind of like, or the idea of using these cards in these stages will really help them emphasize how normal it is to be different, but also bring them together with that difference. So it was kind of exciting that also that I think the imagery work will be good for them, this particular family. Yep. So yeah, it was exciting.
Great to hear those really practical reflections, Nadia. I appreciate that. A few things to go, and I'm aware it is now 12. If you do need to go, certainly understand that. If you do want to stay on board for another couple of minutes, I'll explain what we're going to do with the quiz so you can get your PD certificate. Just wanted to share some final slides with you about what we have coming up, including the next free webinar that we're doing. And that is going to be in the next month. So I do hope you can join us for that. I know many people have already registered, which is fantastic. So we've had a little bit of an opportunity now to connect in, which is always wonderful. We have a drama therapy workshop coming up tomorrow. It's a 3-hour workshop run by our wonderful drama therapist, Natalie McKenzie. We also have Judy King, who's here with us today, which is wonderful, who is an art therapist, and she's going to be running art therapy in adult mental health. It's a webinar next Monday for 90 minutes. I'm going to be running an art and play therapy workshop next week. And I'm also running an art therapy group, which is a process group that's open to anybody, and that's just 6 places available for that. So it's a small group. And that is a webinar on psychosynthesis, bringing it all together. So that's the 21st of September from 11:30 to 12:30. So pop your name on the registration list for that. If you're interested, you go to our website and find it. I'll send you a link to that afterwards as well. Thank you so much for being here. Could you please join me in thanking Vanita in the background, and especially thanking Leonie Katz for this wonderful dynamic presentation today. Thank you, Leonie, and thanks all for being here.